It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back as we return to very much a burning topic this week, very important one at that. 95% of the country's schools were officially reopened as of Monday morning for grade 7 and grade 12 learners. It may have come as a relief to some who've obviously had to endure online learning for more than 2 months and homeschooling. But there's still a lot of anxiety in the air for parents around their children's safety, obviously, during the pandemic.
Exactly. And this morning we are joined by the Secretary General of the National Association of School Governing Bodies, Mr. Madaganye from Johannesburg, to talk about how schools have been adapted to create a safer environment for the learners. A very good morning to you, Mr. Madaganye. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Okay, good morning, and all your listeners.
Thank you so much. I know a very stressful week for many going back to school. We've got to ask, how was the first week? How's it been thus far back at school for both the learners and I think also the educators we often think about in this instance? What have the reactions been so far?
Thank you very much, Graham. We monitored the areas, and I was getting reports all over the country that the majority of schools returned the teachers and the children. However, in some schools, the total number of grade 12s were not all. There were few who were not at school. So, but at that time, we did not get the reasons why they did not return. However, in one school, then we found that now there were 2 children who have comorbidities, so they were separated from the rest of the children. And it was really painful because those 2 children's parents could not respond quickly. And the children were really frustrated because they could see their friends, their peers learning whilst they were separated, staying outside. And the countrywide, then there were areas that did not have water at that time, and some did not really receive the PPEs. And the other areas where because the space now is not really a problem. It's not a problem because it's only grade 12. It's only grade 7, so there's no problem. Then we found that now the space is it's fine for the children. It's 1.5%. The distance, question of social distancing, having masks the masks in the class, and except some schools went and closed at the same time, but it was not a big number of schools that went, and only to find that some teachers contracted the virus, then immediately the schools closed. Wow. So then that was just that mixed reaction of parents, and some parents were just saying no, they could not take their children to school at this stage because they are not sure of what really is to happen with their children. Although we encouraged parents to say, look, go to school, check whether the school meet the health standard. And what we meant by the health standard is that on the 26th of April, we met the minister and told her that, look, if the school do not meet the non-negotiables, that school will not be opened. And you remember that the minister wanted the schools to reopen on the 1st. We said, no, the system is not ready. So then finally, then the minister said that week that followed, then the week of the 1st, then it will be the week for mopping up. And they really mopped up in some instances. They really mopped up because at that time, schools did not have water. Schools did not receive the PPEs. Schools were not ready. And in some schools, they did not have the screeners. People who are going to screen, the teachers who are going to screen the learners when they come to school. So the system at that stage was not really ready. And we indicated to her that, look, schools cannot open at this stage because the system is not ready. So we finally agreed. Then the second week, then we open. This is the week that we open. So we are still monitoring really the areas where still some glitches. We see the end of this week whether they will have met the whole health standard in our schools.
Mr. Matakane, I've got to ask, because we know that there was a kind of long-running battle with regards to water, with regards to sanitation and PPEs. How many schools don't have the requisite requirements in place, and what's being done to address that? Is that being driven by the schools? Is it being driven by government? How are we addressing that?
I may not have the numbers as of now because our structures are still reporting. Probably towards the end of the week, I'll be knowing whether schools that did not have water, schools that did not have ablutions, are all received that. But in some areas, then parents were phoning me where there are no ablutions, there's no water. Then I was able to phone some MECs in some instances. So I was promised that they are bringing in the mobile toilets. They're bringing in the mobile toilets. But now, because the real abolition, there's no toilets whatsoever in those schools. So they are bringing in the mobile toilets. So, but what worries us mostly is the sustainability.
Yes.
Whether really after the pressure, then they would those mobile toilets, the water that brought by the tankers, the zozos in the school will not be continuously supplied, and all this. That's one worry. But for now, they are bringing those, and then I was promised that now they'll be bringing those mobile toilets in where there are no ablutions.
Well, hopefully this will spark a long-term change in those very key areas, and at least now we are focusing on putting our learners first, and hopefully we can empathize a little bit with the parents who are also going through this with their learners, and of course the teachers. Mr. Matakane, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know a very busy time for you, so good luck for you and your department as well.
Have the best. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks.
It seems like we still have a long way to go before we can call victory on the COVID-19 virus in South Africa and across many schools that are under-resourced and need the assistance, that they need to get back on track with the curricula and with their peers around the country. And there are lots of readjustments for many industries and sectors still to come.
But we do certainly appreciate the careful thought that has gone into the decision-making, returning to school made by the Department of Basic Education, as well as the diligence from educators in creating as much of a safe environment as possible for learners. All of this, of course, has to come secondary to the actual learning as well. So we certainly wish everyone well.